Dan Orlovsky, and we're going to do the best that we can here to put together a fundamental list for you. Dan has the 5 best options for the Patriots at quarterback this year. Dan, the floor is yours.
Greeny, let's start at number 5, and I'm going to go to the draft. And I'm going to look at drafting Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm. If you look at Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm, I did a game of theirs this year. Number 1, incredibly intelligent. Number 2, diligent with his work. And number 3, a very selfless teammate. And if you look at the style of offense, the Patriots like to play attacking inside the numbers. Something he did really well last year, 83 QBR, 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. It's a really good fit. Let's go to number 4. I would look at trading for Andy Dalton. Here's a crazy thing. The Patriots defense last year gave up 14 points. Andy Dalton in his career, when his defense gives up less than 20 points, is 45-8 as a starting quarterback. So I think there's a pretty good marriage there in the total picture quarterback and overall team. Number 3, Jarrett Stidham, who's on their roster. A lot of people who tied to that organization, who know that organization, know how highly they think of Jarrett Stidham. Last year had a really good preseason, and they trusted him to be their backup quarterback through the great majority of that season last year. They've got to be thinking very highly of Jarrett Stidham. Number 2, I want to call the Miami Dolphins. I want to say, where are you with Josh Rosen? Now, the relationship with Brian Flores, their head coach there, and his tie to the Patriots might be something that, why didn't he play for you more? Why did you think Ryan Fitzpatrick was a better option? Is there something going on with Josh Rosen? But I still think highly enough of him where if he gets some really good coaching, he could be a good player in this league. And then number 1, Jacoby Brissett. You know, I look at Jacoby Brissett and I go, last year, 5-2 when he was healthy as the starting quarterback, 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And the fact that right before he got hurt, he had gone on the road and beaten the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And I just think that is the best option if you can get him cheap and bring him back to New England out of Indianapolis.
I'm really intrigued by a few of these, and I want to focus on the last 2. And Josh Rosen is a guy who was drafted in the top 10 2 years ago. I don't know that there's ever been a quarterback who's gotten less opportunity to prove it than he's had so far when you consider he gets drafted by Arizona. They're terrible. The offensive line is terrible. They fire the coach and make all sorts of sweeping changes. Then he goes to the Dolphins, who were in that weird sort of tanking for Tua space last year, and that all goes badly. You still believe in Rosen, because if there has been a book on him, it's that his intelligence is his calling card, sometimes for better and sometimes for worse. Well, that is sort of a Belichick hallmark. I would feel like that's something that would appeal to Belichick. So I rather like that fit if they can figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, and Greeny, I think that if you look at the way he's played, it's been in really difficult situations. I want to touch on the intelligence a little bit, though, because I've had some conversations with people who know Josh Rosen really well, and they rave about how smart he is, but there is the reality that he does not know football incredibly well. He has not been coached football-wise incredibly well, and it reminds me of when Jared Goff was young, but had not been coached football-wise incredibly well. When it comes to, like, protections and defenses and how to handle all that stuff, very raw talent. And I think that if Josh Rosen goes to New England and gets the type of coaching that New England is notorious for at that position, you can see him potentially take off as a player.
And then, Swagoo, I want to bring you into the conversation here as well to talk about Brissett, because about halfway through this past season, to the point that Dan just made, we were talking about Jacoby Brissett and what a great job he had done stepping in for Andrew Luck and all that sort of thing. The question I would have is, why are the Colts giving up on him? Why would they decide to go out and sign an aging quarterback like Rivers, who many people feel is well past his prime, if Brissett was as good as some of us, including myself, might think he is? What is the deal there?
Gee, I believe familiarity breeds comfort. And I think Indianapolis did what was comfortable as opposed to sticking through with Jacoby Brissett and seeing what he could evolve into. He was there to replace Andrew Luck when things weren't looking up, and he was able to have some success. And obviously we've lamented about the injury and how he looked after that and how he looked previous to that. This to me was one of the ones where where you say, have they given up on a guy that potentially could become a really good quarterback in this league? And when you look at it, you sign Phillip Rivers to a 1 year, $25 million deal. I think just the comfortability. It's Phillip Rivers. He's been playing for a long time. They just got comfortable and kind of gave up on Jacoby.
Yeah, that to me is the part of it that I find confusing, because, Dan, I agree with you. It seems maybe that familiarity in New England will be a plus on that side. In the end, I got 10 seconds for you, Orlovsky. Which do you think is the likeliest of these five that is the starter week 1 for the Patriots?
I think Jacoby Brissett. I think Indy's willing to move on him, and I think the Patriots can go get him.
All right, we'll see. And they would have him and then Stidham on the roster and see where it goes. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.